All right, we are live. Happy Monday, Lisa.
Another happy Monday to you too. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, coming off of a really frenzied last 2 weeks.
You've been doing a lot of traveling and trade shows and meeting with clients. And, like you said last week, it really is nice when you're able to have those in-person meetings. I mean, there's a lot to be said for Zoom, but nothing is the same as when you meet somebody in person, you're able to shake their hand or give them a nice bear hug.
There was a lot of that going on. And I'll tell you, I was at, give them a little shameless plug, but it's called New Hope is the name of the group. And it's Expo West, which is out in Los Angeles. And there was about 70,000 people at this event. And the energy in some of the halls was vibrational. I mean, it was, first of all, it was packed. They haven't even done a post yet, but I'm going to post hopefully tonight or tomorrow. But it was just packed. The show is packed, 70,000 people. That's a lot of people to put
Oh,
into a
God,
place.
yes.
And then to have that kind of energy around you after COVID, right? Where people were so isolated from each other. And really, it was just, I mean, it was such an amazing, awesome trade show and event for so many people. And had a blast, just like 3 days of just nonstop activities and meeting people and seeing people and, old clients and old friends and new friends. And I mean, it was just amazing. So super fun. And I was just looking over our lead list from the event. We had 120 leads from the event, like some amazing leads.
That's fabulous.
So it was an amazing event for my client, but also just, I mean, I got to meet like 10 different clients this week, which was so fun. Some I forgot to take pictures with. I was like, oh my God, how did we do that? You forget, but in the midst of all the fun. But it was just such a high energy week. But yeah, came home and just was crashing, but my parents were here and they literally just left like 2-3 hours ago. So I'm like, whew, I can get back to somewhat of a normal.
Time to decompress, right?
Totally. I actually went to the club this morning in the middle of the morning, which I don't ever do, but I was like, I need an hour on this treadmill so badly, like just get out of my way. So it was really good, but it was a great week, lots of fun. And I'm grateful to just be part of, I don't know, people cranking their business, it's just such a fun thing to see people who are living high vibrationally, want to create impact and change, want to impact each other. Just some of the nice things people said too, to people at the show. I mean, just how collaborative everybody was. I think that was the biggest thing I took away from the
That's
show.
refreshing, right?
It
Because I
is
think
so lovely.
prior to COVID, everything was more like dog eat dog. Everybody was in full competition mode and doing whatever they had to do to be able to make a profit. And now I think, with the reset, people have done a lot of contemplation and reflection. And yes, we want to run profitable businesses. You cannot stay in business unless you are profitable, but you also want to do it with integrity. And you also want to be able to leave a legacy, to leave something behind that you're really proud of. And so, I noticed that all of the natural expos, the people there have a different kind of mindset. And very much like-minded and vibrating high. So it's really wonderful that people are brainstorming, collaborating, and are able to take their business and get it off the ground. It's a beautiful thing.
It was. And what a fun week to be at an event where we were also celebrating International Women's Day, which was so cool. And I didn't even get to be on Facebook all week. So I really don't even know. I'm sure there were tons of posts about it and honoring women all over the world and celebrating, their time to, impact the world and create a change and do things for themselves and stand out from the rest. And so I hope everyone, including yourself, Lisa, had an amazing International Women's Day.
I did. I'm really proud of the fact that we have all of these different female entrepreneurs, and sometimes we have, men on that are making their indelible mark as well, but that they're coming from all different places, not just here in the good old US of A. But we had Giselle on recently, and her, dance for transformation of life is really incredible. And I'm taking classes with her by virtue of your introduction. And then Mahima, who I think is just a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she does so many beautiful things in her academy, teaches, mindset and truly how to live your best life. And so afterwards, I had an opportunity to speak with Mahima about her business. And just by virtue, we talk about networking. So, Olivia and Pamela and Colleen Avis introduced me to Mariel Hemingway, and then Mariel came on our show, and she's doing her podcast, Out Came the Sun. So I introduced Mahima to Mariel because I think that there's a lot of synergy there. And now Mahima is going to be on Mariel's podcast. And Jang I think she was one of your clients way back in the day. And, she's had me on her Goo podcast and magazine, as well as you, of course. And now we're having her on next Monday as well to give her the promotion and put her in the spotlight, which she deserves. So next Monday, everybody, because Jang is coming to us again, another European coming to us from Belgium. There'll be a time difference, and we're going to be doing it at 9 Central on Monday. So if you're unable to watch, we hope that you catch the replay, because talk about high energy. Jang certainly has a lot of energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And interestingly, as we look at the connection, actually, there's a connection between those three women who all three of them were actually on, it was Mahima's retreat, but were at the retreat with me. So they're all amazing in terms of that link to really just understanding humanity and understanding yourself, and how important it is to pull out all of the important things in yourself to be able to create the outcomes in your life that you're looking to achieve. And so I think it's awesome that we get to engage with some, just like you said, amazingly diverse people. And, and we love feedback. We are so grateful for all the comments and the involvement and the engagement by our community. And of course, we were going to announce tonight that we now have another 138 new members
yes,
just this
so
month.
Thankful.
So warmly welcome those to the community. And we know that we work really hard, Lisa and I, to make every opportunity possible for each of you to enjoy this community, cherish this community, engage with this community, but really to learn from this community. We do these weekly lives because we find it fascinating to have all these aspects of life that we get to touch on. Even our stem cell doctor that was on a couple of weeks ago and the education he brought to us. There's inspiration, there's education, there's knowledge we can share, and knowledge is power. And so we just feel that this is a purposeful approach to being able to create that opportunity. So we are grateful for all those people that we get to engage in these live activities and events. And, we would love feedback. If there's someone you want to nominate to come on to our live, we are open to, this is an open forum. We're open to bringing on amazing guests and, people that can change and impact our lives, because we all want to learn together. And so we're grateful to our community who does lead us on to other people, introduce us to other people, engage us in their communities where they feel that there's value as well. That's what this is all about. So we are grateful.
And it's the networking aspect. Certainly it's about raising awareness, of course, because we all want to learn as much as we possibly can, especially when it comes to personal development, self-transformation, and being able to make decisive business decisions when necessary. And sometimes, it can, I just got a call from somebody that I used to mentor, and he was saying, oh my God, I'm doing so great in my new company, but Lisa, I feel so alone. Like, I need you back as a mentor. We all need a mentor in our lives. We all need people to be able to help give direction and to be able to share the knowledge and what they went through, the failures that I went through. I don't want to see somebody else go through, and I'm sure you feel the same. And we all experience those failures. So if we could share honestly, if we could be genuine in our approach, and I believe we are here in our guests as well, I think that can make a difference. And look at how many of our women in our community have embarked upon their own businesses, even if they're a side hustle or writing books and the like. So, there's so many women that are really, they've lived up to the challenge in many different ways to live their best life. And we're so proud of all of you. One of those women was my client, and she was on as well. And her name is Renee Stefano. And she shared a beautiful quote. We like to share the quotes as well. And it's a quote by Maya Angelou. And it is, a woman in harmony with her spirit is like a river flowing. She goes where she will without pretense and arrives at her destination prepared to be herself and herself only. And that's what we're all about. Be uniquely you. So we thank you, Renee, for that beautiful quote.
Yeah, love it. First of all, I love Renee. She is a rock star through and through. Love working with her. She's just incredible energy, and she's incredibly passionate about what she's doing. And what I love about this quote is that it really emphasizes the importance, to your point, of being true to oneself and finding that inner peace and harmony. And it suggests when a woman is in alignment with her spirit, she can flow through life with so much more grace and authenticity and confidence, and ultimately really achieve the goals and the outcomes that she's purposefully going after. And this so defines Renee, which is amazing. She is super, super amazing of a human being, and we are just lucky to have her in our circle. So thanks, Renee, for leaving us a quote this week.
Yeah. And so moving on with that as well, as far as guests and everything, we are so fortunate, Korie, because we are practically booked out until August. And we have so many amazing women coming on board with us from all walks of life. But like you said, if any of the women here in this group have a particular topic that you would like to be able to discuss, maybe something that you're going through in your business, please feel free to let us know, because we want to bring relevant content to the table on a continuum. So don't hesitate with that. And tonight, I know we have somebody, Korie, that you worked with as well. And this is how life really does come full circle, no pun intended. But, we're really happy that she's here with us. And maybe you'll want to tell us a little bit about her.
I do. And I'm going to jump into that in just 1 minute. But I did want to just check in with you, Lisa. We haven't talked all week, and you've had a good week. You've been I knew you were gardening, which we're going to talk about tonight, and doing all kinds of new things. So good things in your world this week. You had a good week. You did something for International Women's Day, and you celebrated in some way.
So as you know, I was gardening, and I just recently got into gardening in the past 6 months. And my friend Andrew is an amazing horticulturist, and I have a girlfriend, Diane, in New York, who's also incredible, and they're my inspiration. And so I got into it at my roommate's house, and the garden is really flourishing. And so it's like a really beautiful way to spend a morning. I go out in the morning, I meditate, I garden, I water my flowers, and it's a butterfly garden. So there's so many butterflies around. It's really, really beautiful. But I did a lot of physical activity last week. And as I said, I threw my back out. I am on the mend. I went to my massage therapist. She's also a Reiki healer. And we did hot stones and cupping. And so I feel much, much better.
Good.
But yeah, it was, quite honestly, while you had a very slammed week, I had a more chilled week. I'm working on a project and putting all the content together for that. But it was a very relaxing and healing week. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So thank you for asking.
Sounds delightful.
It was.
And exactly what the doctor ordered, because you needed that after,
Yes.
last week. And you've got a lot of creative things that you're working on. And I love that, Lisa, that you just continue to kind of pump out creative ideas. And I know you're working on writing and, getting content together. And, it really, when you want to launch a business and, connect with people, you have to think about the messages and the way to shape that business to be able to really capture an audience. And I know you're working on all those things. So it's very exciting.
I am. And, the great part about working in production for so many years is that I'll be working with my director doing some video shoots down here as well, to be able to put up on my website, to basically encapsulate what my project is going to entail. I'm not going to get into the granular part of that yet, because that'll be by the end of May. I will certainly be launching. But yeah, no, I'm really excited, but it does take work. You have to think about the brand message that you want to put out there, who your demographic is, who do you think would benefit most from the services that you're offering, and how are you going to reach those people? What are you going to do for marketing and the like? So, I've been working with Vivi on all of that. She's down here in Miami right now, and we've gotten to be very close, and she's really great at being a brand strategist as well. So we've been doing a lot of collaboration, and it's been fun. We've been having a good time.
Good for you. I'm excited for you. Good. Well,
Thank
and
you.
Phoebe is fabulous. So I know that there's nothing but fun there with her, because she's not only fabulous and gorgeous, but she's also highly intelligent. And she certainly has been working in the world of branding for a lot of years. So I'm sure that that's been a really fun collab for you guys to work together on that. So
it has been.
Awesome. Good. Well, we are going to bring in Shelley Mathews. And as you mentioned, Shelley is she's a coworker of mine from many, many years ago. we have to do a little bit of math, but it's probably been maybe 15 years, maybe longer. But, I was telling a little bit, from the beginning, Shelley is just this amazingly, not only bright, but very driven human being. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her story tonight and what really caused her to be so driven in what she does. But Shelley is the CEO of a company called Full Circle 26 Inc. And when Lisa and I look for, who we want to bring on, we're very purposeful in bringing people on that we believe can impact all of our lives, right? We're very conscious of making sure that when we bring people into the live, that there's something we're all going to walk away with. And tonight, I think there's a really profound subject that she's going to talk about, which is around gardening and what people are doing to bring an essence of controlling what's going on in their lives into this gardening experience. And Full Circle 26, which is Shelley's company, is a sales and distribution company. But as an industry leader, they launched what's called Ag Tech. It's AG Tech, so agricultural technology product that they call a I'm going to say it right, hydroponic system. Yes, hydroponic system. And it really is a brilliant gardening system that she's going to talk about that everyone can put in their homes. And it's very easy to use. And what I love about it is the work that she's doing with it, because it offers restaurants and chefs, it offers consumers, it offers school systems and, underprivileged communities opportunities to understand that they can actually grow produce and herbs indoor year round. And so I love the work that Shelley is doing. She's not only, like I said, a lifetime entrepreneur, but she really specializes in being a future thinker. And I love that about her. So she's coming to us from her office where she's got all these plants and gardening. So her lighting is a little dark in there, but it's really cool. And I'm excited to have her. So we're going to welcome Shelley to the show. So
Fantastic.
Here she comes. Yeah. Yeah. And lots of fun stuff to talk about with her tonight. So super good. And I will drop in her website. There she is.
Hi, Shelley. Good evening. Happy Monday.
Good. Happy Monday, everybody.
Shelley, I'm so honored that you're with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Korie. It's my honor to join both you and Lisa. I've been really enjoying your book. It's hitting on all the points that I've been personally working on myself, which is, I love your time to make the donuts, It's like, I feel like I was in that cycle for a number of years, and until I broke it and understand what I was doing, and then understanding how, just to be that vibrant and that energy and understanding all of that, and how we as women, sometimes we don't recognize that. So I've really been enjoying, I've been listening audio book to your book, and really you're doing a lot of good service out there with the things that you guys are sharing.
Thank you. And I want to just correct myself. So when I say I'm honored you're here, Lisa and I are honored that you are here. So we are honored, but I am honored that we have maintained a friendship through so many genres of our life when we worked together years ago, and we've just maintained this level of, professional connection, but also it's gotten deeper as you've kind of seen some of the work I've done and the transitions I've done. So I'm honored that you've stayed connected to me. And I think that's what I really wanted to say, because there's such a beauty in meeting people and then them committing to a relationship to stay connected, even though our lives don't necessarily overlap every day or in some grandiose way. We make a commitment to stay connected. So whether it's LinkedIn or just sending each other emails, there's always that little bit of connection every couple of years. And I really want to honor that, not just for ourselves, but for anyone out there who has connections in their life, because your network is so important. And so I'm honored to bring you on tonight so I can introduce you to my lovely co-host and my co-writer, Lisa Vrancken, who is also one of my dearest friends in the world. And so to have all these powerful women together is amazing. So that's what I meant when I said I'm honored you're here. But so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's jump in tonight. Yeah. So I was telling the audience that one of the things that really attracted me having you on tonight was to talk about really the work that you're doing around hydroponics. And I'd love for you to explain to the audience a little bit about it. I had to do some research after our first conversation to understand it a little bit better. But knowing that gardening has exploded in a lot of ways here in the United States. They said 18.3 million new gardeners started, and mostly those of whom are millennials, so a little bit younger people. And this started during the pandemic. So we know somewhere between 55 and 60% of American households are engaging in some kind of gardening activity. And so, as you are a futurist and always think about trends that are going on in the market, tell us a little bit about hydroponics and why you're bringing this to the market, the importance of the work that you're doing with it.
Well, I am what's called a soil gardener, and hydroponics is growing plants in water. That's basically what it is. And it's very old. It was back in Babylon time where they had the gardens, and it's using water to grow plants. And so what we've been able to do with my manufacturer, Opcom, how I found out about it, a manager had told me I was representing a line, and he knew I was an outdoor gardener, and said, hey, you need to come to Vegas and see this hydroponics, just like you. I'm like, what is hydroponics? Never heard about it. And went to the hardware show and saw these systems and thought, what the heck is this? What did I just see? And right away, the technology part of it, just because of some of the counts and things that I've always been kind of a techie, and just was like, oh my goodness, I need to be part of this. And the owner actually said, and he is very futuristic, said, we're going to have a food problem. And he created these units, which are all indoor systems. So you can kind of see one I have right here that I'm growing. I'm a little, I always pick something. I have tomatoes right now growing and wheatgrass in my home. So I always pick something to grow. But he said, there's going to be a food problem, and there's going to be areas of the world that you cannot grow food. And that was 5 years ago. And we can see now with COVID, with the breakdown of the supply chain, that this is more relevant today than it ever was. And so I said to him, I will help you bring this line to North America and to my channels of trade. And because our systems are all in one system, I tell everybody, the only thing you need is water and electricity, but you could pretty much grow anything. But hydroponics is growing plants in water. And like I said, it's very, very old. The technology is new, but it's under the agriculture technology area, which in 2018, there was always a fight between the soil gardeners and the tech people. It's like, that's not traditional, that's not farming. So in 2018, the USDA did say, hey, hydroponics is a way of farming. And then in 2021, it became that the produce was now organic. And so that's where we saw, besides people being very concerned about their food supply, just a huge surge in our business.
Well, God knows the predictions about food shortages are coming to pass. I mean, especially too with erratic climate around the globe. As you said, supply chain, we see what's happening in the Ukraine, which used to be one of the biggest suppliers of wheat and the like. And so we're going to feel it. And if you live in the city, you cannot, in a city type setting, you can't, it's very hard to be the soil gardener, right? I mean, they have these little community gardens in even in New York City, where I used to live, there were community gardens, but they're small because of the lack of land space. So hydroponics are great. My roommate is also a hydroponic grower, and I'm shocked by the amount of lettuce that she's able to produce, and it's delicious. So the cost of food too, aside from the fact that it's harder to grow, we know it's the old supply and demand, right? And so that will drive the cost of food up, and we see it at the grocery store today, especially with produce. So this is like a really great way to do it. Can you explain like what these systems are like for people that want to purchase them in their homes? I think you do for big farming as well, right? Or is it all more residential?
Well, one of the things that's great about what we provide, we have little tabletop units, just small little tabletop units that we've grown like 30 plants in. I had a relative that actually grew corn in a system, to 40-foot containers that, like your trailer containers, that can grow thousands of plants. And my team and I went to our manufacturer in Guangzhou, and we saw the containers where you could, talk about, the future. the seed containers that you could literally stay in your home and grow plants and all the technology and download data. And so we are in a unique position that we have tabletop units for about $200 up to $150,000 units that you can grow thousands of plants. In our schools, we're in probably now over 800. We gained about 200 new schools last year, and the schools fit the units in their STEM lab: science, technology, engineering, and math. So we are a big supporter of STEM and STEAM in a school, in which recently our Opcom systems have been designated STEAM certified. And so it ties in with education, it ties in with consumers. Like you said, the lettuce is wonderful. You can grow your lettuce, and until you pull your roots out, you could probably get like 4 or 5 cuttings, right? And
Absolutely.
our kids have shown us with our kids program, we have amazing, I have amazing team, first of all, that really has had made this, everything from marketing to our education director, Janie Ray, who has amazing program with children. And the second graders this year, every year there's kids that just kind of take my heart away, but they have grown everything from carrots to flowers to leafy vegetables, herbs. We don't know what we can't grow. And we look to the kids to experiment and tell us what we can grow. But what we find is that sense of accomplishments for the children. You know, they can put a seed in a sponge, which we call a medium, and then be able to grow it and eat it. And so, you know, what better sense of accomplishments does a child have to really have something tangible? Everything is hands-on. And as Janie always says, it's a kids program. And so we find with our systems, and you had mentioned with city people, but also with farmers. Our farming situation is really dire now because a lot of the younger people don't want to go in farming. And where there's an opportunity is through this agriculture technology, to bring the technology, whether you're talking hydroponics or aquaponics, where you're using fish, or, you know, vertical farms that are popping up in urban areas all across the country to provide produce. And so you're exactly right. There's problems in all segments of our community in regards to fresh, healthy food and accessibility.
And like you said, all you need is water and electricity, where with farming, you also need fertilizer. And because all of that fertilizer was coming to us from Russia, right now with all of the different sanctions, I mean, we're in the crosshairs. So it's life for a farmer was difficult before. Now it's become much more difficult, and it will be much more expensive to purchase. So good for you. It sounds amazing what you're doing at the schools.
I love, that's the heart of our mission, really, is our education. And we have what's called a 3D model of sustainability. With that, we use plants to teach education, which is STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math, because it aligns directly with STEM. Health, and we've just added mental health, because there's a lot of mental health challenges that we're having, and there's a soothingness of plants because it's a living organism, you know. And you mentioned, Korie, about the rise in gardening with the millenniums. I think, you know, as African American people, we got away from agriculture. And now I see this as an opportunity to get back to agriculture. The other thing that we in our model is enterprise. People don't realize there's a lot of money, and there's vocational opportunities and business opportunities to growing plants. And anybody knows me, they'll hear my cash page. What is a cash crop? It's not lettuce. So we do try to instill our motto in everything we do. We also have a great, like I said, great team. Lisa Mack, our marketing person, and Jerry Gibson, my aunt. So I get to work with people I love. You know, our whole team are people in my family, my father, you know,
That's
and
great.
we get everybody involved in it, but it's really giving accessibility. And for me, the heart of our program are children, because we know if we can change one child, and every year Janie changes one child or two children, and we know that that's generational change. These kids take back, they're so proud, they want to show their parents what they've done. And because a lot of kids have grown in a tech really technology, but gaming and all the rest of it, plants have life. They can see seed to harvest. And so it's accomplishments, it's confident. They learn everything from presentation skills, public speaking, data management, plant management, equipment management, and even the enterprise in which the last second graders they had the choice either to bring their plants home, sell their plants, or move it out to the outdoor gardens. So we also use them for nurseries. So that is really the heart of what we do, but it's all about giving accessibility to those who would never have accessibility to this. And that is my total drive. It's fun. It's a lot of fun because, as a soil gardener every year, I'm like, why am I doing all this work when the bugs are getting to my, the bugs are hard work and all the rest of it. So you're exactly right, Lisa, and Korie, that gardening is picking up because people realize they can save a lot of money and eat healthier if they grow their own food, whether it's soil or hydroponically. But hydroponically is great for our environment. It's right in your home. It's accessible. You don't have the pests. You don't have the pesticides, and it's very clean and accessible.
Shelley, that's awesome. And I love, there's statistics and facts out there that children that are involved in growing vegetables are more willing to eat them. And so there's that relationship to eating healthier and consuming healthier food. So I'm reading some of the comments, and thank you. I love the comments when they're coming in, but I'll read a couple of them. But people are saying, I don't really have a green thumb. I don't know if I have time. How hard is this? Is it complex? Just walk us through, so if I wanted to get one for my home, what would I have to spend? And then how hard is it to get the seeds? Just walk us through a scenario of what that would look like for someone.
So, all right. Is it all right if I show you a unit while I'm talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We'll
this is our absolute favorite system right here.
Okay,
Can you see
cool.
that?
Yeah, we can.
That's a grow box that you can grow about 50 plants. Everything comes with our system, the sponges, which is your medium that takes the place of dirt, your lights. We have what we call the brain. The brain is a timer that turns off and on your lights and on your pump because plants need air, food, and water. Everything is included in these systems, correct? And so the only thing that you're doing, like I said, we have little small tabletop units like this one. Can you see that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That everything is contained, and you can use your own seeds also. So we always tell the kids, hey, if you're having a cucumber at home, pull out the seeds. You have a tomato, seed identification, get your seeds and you place them in the sponges. You germinate just like you would outside. You have to take care of them and nurture them, but really the system is all containable. Of course, you have to measure your water for your levels of your pH levels and so forth. But for me, and it's always a conversation, is it harder or easier? I find it much easier because it's not toiling. So you have accessibility for those who may not, that garden in the past, maybe seniors that can't do the hard labor now, where they can grow that. My parents, I love my parents and they're growers. But who knew my father liked to grow flowers? He grows flowers, and it makes it accessible for everybody. So in terms of easeability, I believe it's easier than soil just because of the money, the amount of hard work you have to do, and those pesky pests that once you do all that work, then they eat your food, or you see a caterpillar eating your leaves.
That's what some people are posting. They're saying, the bugs aren't eating your food before you get to it. So this is a fun way to do it. Yeah.
It really is. And it's right in your home. And Lisa, as you mentioned with your roommate, you can just cut and, the freshness, and because you are growing in water, the level of nutrition, things like microgreens. A lot of people don't realize microgreens are loaded with nutrients, 7 to 15 days to harvest. And, you're able to grow your food, have a continuous source of nutrients. And so in the terms of easeability, or hardness. I don't find it hard. It's just like anything. You have to learn, like you have to learn, like, oh, why is the plant brown? Oh, maybe it's not getting enough nutrients or not enough water. So that's where more the analytical of it, or evaluating what's going on with your plants. But you have to do that with any of your plants, whether
Yeah,
it's in
no,
the
I
soil or
find her unit is very easy, and you don't have to depend on weather either, because you have the lights and they're timed, and you're just measuring the water. So it basically grows itself, right? And you don't have to worry about, I have herbs growing and we have geckos and everything else that are eating, whether it's my basil or whatever, the lemons, the birds are pecking at the lemons. So yeah, this is all inside. It's very clean and very organic.
Yes.
One thing that I was fascinated in learning about you, Shelley, is that, we talk about life being messy at times, and we all have our challenges that we need to overcome. And you've had your share of challenges too, but you certainly didn't let your past define you. You chose to become the woman that you are today. And that is a magnificent entrepreneur who's really making a difference in so many ways, and especially in the lives of children. Maybe you could share with us a little bit about the things that you needed to overcome to become this magnificent woman that you are.
Well, I give all praise to my parents. My parents set the foundation, very hard workers, work ethic. My sisters and I all are very independent people and women, only because my father, when we were younger, we moved to the country, and he said, "You're not going to kill me. I'm going to teach you girls how to do everything so you don't have to rely on anyone." And so we learned everything from building fences, taking fences down. We had horses, and I always give my foundation to my parents because they were very hard workers, never realized any time where they ever, would take or make excuses. And so that set the foundation. But really what I found in my life to get me to my purpose was really 3 seasons. And I'm totally convinced: my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s. And I'm totally convinced that in your 40s, you get rid of that things that are people and places and things that aren't coming with you in your 50s. In your 50s, you get to figure out, who am I? Who am I? What do I like? Who is this person? What you're going to take, what you're not going to take. And I'm 63 now, where I'm just like, thank you. But it took a while to get to my purpose. And it really was through having a lot of baggage in my childhood from bullying, which we're very big advocates against bullying now, because we understand bullying carries scars through your whole life. And it took me until my 50s to really realize that, and it happened through really an anxiety attack, and because trust was broken when I was bullied and beaten very bad as a child, but I didn't deal with it through the different time periods. And in my 50s, it really came to a head, and and this is God given. And I got on my knees and I prayed and I said, "Hey, do I need help?" And it was probably the first time that I really felt like I need to ask for help. And it's because my sisters and I were raised so independent, to take care of things, to figure things out, to come up with a solution. And I didn't have any other solutions. And 24 hours later, I got a call from my father's best friend and said, "Hey, come here and show us. The nun here wants to talk hydroponics." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Here's the address." He goes, "Oh, you know where it is. It's your childhood elementary school, the scene of the crime I'm brought back to." And really, I walked in, and Sister Patricia at the time, she said, "Hey, we have lead in our soil. It's hard to do soil planting because of the bugs and all the rest of it." And I said, "Sister, I was brought back here for a purpose, is to bring hydroponics. And it's in 53206, one of the most challenging zip codes in the whole nation. And we started our hydroponics lab with the Dominican Center in Milwaukee in 2019. And up until really last year, nobody really knew about it. And so they've really been able to implement the whole 3D model of sustainability through outreach with the schools, providing the Amani residents with fresh produce, and also contracting with the local chef. And so with that, I found my purpose. And that was, giving accessibility, listening, to what I needed to do in silence. I learned about silence, in breathing, as you mentioned, Lisa, for anxiety. I also had, for the first time, had to reach out for an advisor. I have an amazing advisor, Dr. Venus Opal, who really just was the first person that just said, hey, I'm not dealing with your crap. Let's cut through it. Let's get to the heart of the matter. I went for training with Landmark, which was outstanding. And I had to really get to the core of me first, in which you talk about in your book, that spirit, that person, clearing all the baggage in order to find the purpose. But I do believe as women, we have 3 seasons to do that: our 40s, our 50s, and our 60s. And that led me through my purpose. And today, I've used those lessons to not try to control everything. Number one. Number two is, when I need silence, I take silence. Because in silence, I will get answers. And number 3 is what you talk about, is that spirit and that vibration of energy. I am very aware of that now. And, those are all the things that have led me to, I believe, what I could say, I feel comfortable in what I do. I'm successful in what I do. I've had a long career in sales and representing, making millions of dollars for companies. But now I feel that my purpose is a little bit different. And entrepreneurship is not for the weak-hearted, that's for sure. So I have to keep going back to that well and going, okay, all right, you've led me here, And so it is with that purpose.
You really have come full circle, no pun intended. I'm glad you peeled back your onion skin and got to the root. I'm going to be using all of these gardening terms. Got to the root of your own issues that were blocks. And then you had to go back to your elementary school. The universe did conspire. It brought you back to the scene of the crime. But not only were you able to see it through different eyes, you were able to bring a special gift to that school and to enlighten all of these children. So you've come so far. And before I pass it over to Korie, you've been talking about the 40s, 50s, and 60s. I too am, we're in the same age bracket here. But it's funny, it reminds me of a Carl Jung quote where he says, everything before 40 is just research. And it's true. You really start to learn who you are in your 40s. In your 50s, you know what you want and what you don't want. And in your 60s, you're not taking any shit. It has to enhance your life or you don't want it.
And those were my words. I wasn't going to use that, Lisa, but you're right.
Hey, girl, we can be candid here. That's how it rolls. But I do I love that perspective, like the 3 chapters. I actually have never heard that terminology and I love it. And I'm somewhere in the middle there. But I even like, Lisa, the quote of, the research that you do up to the age of 40, because that is such an important foundational piece of creating that experience. And one of the things I want to honor you, Shelley, and again, have always adored you from the time that we met back many moons ago at PIL, those days that we had a blast. But Shelley is a lifelong learner, and she's academic as well, right? Undergrad from University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, master's degree in marketing at Roosevelt University. Like, you always invested in, understanding history and cooking and gardening. Like, you always learn things, health and wellness. And what I wanted you to talk a little bit about was, when we connected just, I don't know, it was a couple months ago, when we talked about entrepreneurship, and you said, this entrepreneurship thing, I thought I was prepared for everything. I've done everything. I've been a rock star salesperson. I've created, millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars for companies, and you were amazing back 20 years ago when I knew you, at being an amazing leader. But, entrepreneurship is a whole different animal, and, and it really requires you, which I think is probably what attracts you to it, to keep learning and growing. And so just, because Lisa was mentioning earlier, we're so proud of our community and how many entrepreneurs have blossomed, and whether they're entrepreneurs as business owners or they're entrepreneurial minded, where they've gone off and done things that can create leadership in their lives. We don't care what anybody's doing. We just want them to continue to unearth their greatest potential. Talk about some of the things that you've had to do through this entrepreneurial journey to help you to become stronger every day. And I know the journey's not over, because it never is, but maybe give some lessons to the audience of what you've had to experience.
When I first started in 2017, it was a continuation of what I had been doing. I was an independent sales contractor. So life was super easy. It's like, and I remember number one, I could say, be careful what you say, because I was like, I am so bored. I know that I'm supposed to be doing more. So be careful, number one, of what you say. In 2019, when Opcom came to me and said, hey, would you like to be the North American distributor for our systems? And I contacted one of my cousins who was in warehousing. He says, we can do this. Never in my life ever did I understand all the pieces of it, because as a sales professional, we are the face. We are the contact with the client. The back office handles everything: buying, administration, operations, and bringing products in. I brought in 4 40-foot containers from Guangzhou, China. So talk about learning. It was learning by fire. Understanding how to work through customs, understanding how to price. Thank God my aunt came in, Geraldine Gibson, to help me, because order entry, I mean, we never did that, right? So, constantly adding on to the learning. So I would say, if you're going into something, maybe take a pause and understand what you're bringing on, and making sure you have a passion for it. And my friend always tells me, you always said there were not any people of color in distribution. All through my whole career, there are rarely seen people across the table that look like me, that were buyers. And I had said, why? And here I am today as a distributor. And so the learning of it
Bravo.
all is a daily. There's always learning, and I love to learn. I love education. I love to just learn. And so as an early entrepreneur, number one, I would say follow your passion, because your passion is going to get you through all the hardships of entrepreneurship. Have a great circle of supporters around you that have you in the high times and the low times, and know when to just leave you alone when you're trying to be silent. That is number one. Number two is really having, where my challenge as a distributor is having capital for inventory. So making sure, if you're, understanding all the parts of what it's going to take in whatever you do, and making sure that you have that, because that's where the anxiety, when you're fundraising or you're trying to raise funds or trying to get investors, which I'm at now, very, very stressful. But understanding that you're not being brought into this for any reason other than that there is not defeat. You have to understand your purpose. And I think there was somebody in your book that was a distributor and she decided this wasn't for her. And I've been there a couple times, like, am I supposed to be doing this? Is this because I didn't start this way, but I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm giving access. And when you hear and you see the results, that's when you're right on the right track. So for entrepreneurs, couple things. If you're talking product, make sure that you have a really good structure, I have an amazing team that supports me daily, making sure you have good family and supporters, making sure you have a good supplier, because Korie, as you know, you have to believe in that product. If you don't believe in that product, it will never work. Number two is understanding. And I think as women, we don't understand the value of this is our golden nugget right here. And we don't monetize it. And one of the things that I found in this journey is I gave away so much of my knowledge and didn't monetize it. And, and that I think is just being part of a woman, caring, being the empathy and all the rest of it. And it really took me up until end of last year, where I was like, not anymore, and it was a really change of mind. So I would say for entrepreneurs, don't give away your knowledge, monetize it, and it's okay to do so. And, those are lessons that I've learned, hard lessons that I've learned, but those are lessons of my learning, right? Because as you learn, unless you don't implement, it's just something that you've done, right? And so,
Right on.
it's constant learning. Every day I wake up, I learn something new, and I learn through my actions, the people around me. We have amazing clients. We work with some of the largest distributors in the country for the education and commercial markets. Understanding that from a sales rep versus a distributor, learning, so I think unless you're not alive, you need to learn something every single day,
We talk
because
about being a perennial student here on the writing of the book, and it is so important. And learn until you take your last breath. I love that. I read that, you love to read and study ancient history. I too. I've been studying the Sumerian texts for years now, so I can immerse myself in that whole entire world and learning what really is the truth of history and all the other BS that's been around. But, I think it's really great. And I love to hear the fact that, you had to take a beat and say, why am I the only woman in the room of color? Like, how do we change this? I'm curious, are you also going to communities, minority communities as well, to try to teach it and let them know that this is an opportunity not only to grow your own food, but to be able to have a career and your own business? And do you have affiliates that are selling your product too?
Well, I had one of the most rewarding, awarding experiences in my life. I did a job, Introduction to Agriculture using hydroponics, which is a national workforce agency that it's their clients are W-2 recipients. Okay. And I introduced agriculture because, again, people don't think about agriculture in terms of vocational and jobs. And we had about the partner I had, she did personal development. And we had a 10-week program. And these were women that, because of different circumstances in their life, had to, get assistance, and started working with them in September. And it was an entrepreneurship program. And so I taught using hydroponics, entrepreneurships, and working with these women for 10 weeks. I tell you, to see them blossom. None of, some of them knew about, hydroponics. Nobody really realized agriculture is like a viable industry that you can get a job. And all of these women at graduation were able to present a viable business plan, whether that had to do with agriculture or a product or service, or even from a leadership standpoint, where one of the clients realized she was a leader and she was somebody that people came to, as an advisor. And I told her, I said, you do realize you can get paid for this, right? And so for me, as far as to answer your question, Lisa, that program to me was my give back to say accessibility. Here's a way that something, I brought in, I have amazing circle of resources. So they've met people that were doing incredible STEM and agriculture, energy, water out in Vegas, entrepreneurs that from the nutrition standpoint, growers, people that they might not have never crossed paths with, and that they all now know this is a viable opportunity for you, and that was my first time really doing myself training with adults, to show them, hey, you can do this. And here's something, hydroponics, that gives you the accessibility to grow your plants. So we had a client that basically healed her whole self by growing plants and wanted to learn hydroponics and creating herbs and tinctures. We had another client in her 20s that was growing mushrooms and creating mushrooms for health reasons. And she has a major business plan. Like, if she can launch her business plan, her whole life and many others will change. So yes, I've been drawn back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin with a lot of these programs where I'm working with people in the city to bring about food accessibility, sustainability. My goal is really to move back to Milwaukee, and hopefully I'll be moving back with our nonprofit Next Generation Harvest to do these vocational accessible programs through agriculture using hydroponics. But for me, it's really, you have to give back. if you hold on, you will never live a sustainable life. It has to be a full circle of continuum. And for me, going back to Milwaukee, my home city, and to bring this, not only the hydroponics, because there are people who are doing hydroponics, and we say we do a little bit more. We give people a hands-on opportunity really to make a difference in their life and be in more control of their food, their health, and also an opportunity for an enterprise.
It's incredible. You're leaving an amazing legacy, brava. That's all I can say. It's very touching. Korie?
Yeah. Shelley, I mean, it's why I was blown away, Shelley, when we talked, and I thought I wanted you here tonight because I love your message. I love the vibrance of what you're doing at this point in your life. I mean, you could be doing anything and you're picking to do something that's really profound. And I mean, deep admiration for that, deep admiration for the commitment you've got to that. So tell us, with the few minutes we have left, what is Shelley doing I know you love to garden. I know you love to cook. I know you love songwriting. Like you're concerned about your health and your well-being. What are some of the things that you're committed to yourself, other than continue to evolve yourself academically and educationally and be stronger? What are some of the things that you're doing that you love to do right now in your life?
I think right now I'm loving life, period. I think, Korie, and I know you can relate to this. I spend so much of my life on the road, living out of a suitcase, Yeah. And for the last 10 years, I've been home. And I love being home. And so a lot of the things that I'm doing now is really not putting constraints around what I'm doing, but really going where I feel I need to do. And that's why I love what you guys talk about, the vibrancy and the energy. But really my songwriting and singing, I branched out and did an open mic last year. I just and it was so out of hand, but it was so great because I thought, why not? So that's kind of the thing now, doing a lot of reading, spiritual reading, and being open. Lisa, like you said, I am enthralled with ancient culture, and so I just watch this and read it, and just enjoying life. I love to dance, and I love my family and my friends, and I think being thankful, which brings everything out, right? It's like, okay, opportunities to be with family and friends to me is huge, because I did sacrifice for a number of years living on the road. You're always like too tired, or, you try to jam everything into a weekend, and, because you don't have time. And so this season, and I do believe we have seasons in our life, this season in my life, I'm open to the possibilities of it all, and whatever that means, And so I've just been enjoying my family, my parents. I love my parents. They're 88 and 87 years old, and I enjoy being with them, and my sisters, my nephews, and my aunts and cousins and friends, and that's where I am really in my life right now, because I did have to sacrifice so much before my 50s. And so now I'm really about family, friends, and making the most of my day.
Hear, hear. We prioritize. Once you pass the 6-0 mark, you really start to prioritize. You really realize what's important as well. And while we want to give back and we want to do wonderful things, you also realize that family comes first. And they are with us, in the good times and the bad times. And yes, sometimes there's dysfunction, and sometimes you have to release certain people in your family. But if you have that core group, they're always going to stand by your side. And yes, taking time to do the things you love, and the dancing and all the things that make you feel young again, and traveling and just immersing yourself in whatever it is that you enjoy learning about. These are the things that keep our life full and enriched, and that we could pass on to others, that we could share with others. But I did like when you said you can monetize this, because as women, I think a lot of times we feel like we have to give everything away for free. And while we love to share and pay it forward, and there is a place for that, there is also a place of knowing your worth and not being taken advantage of either. And that everything that you've accrued and learned in your life, it is valuable information to pass on, and it can be monetized. So, we, with big respect for all the that you're doing. Continue on your path. You're glowing. So I think it's all going well. And I would imagine with the, marijuana industry as well, that this would also be, hydroponics should be huge in that industry too, for being able to grow.
Yeah. Lisa, one of the things, and it's so funny because when I say hydroponics, people say, "Oh, you're growing pot," right? And I have to tell them, "No, I'm not growing pot. All our systems come with pre-seeded pads for green lettuce, red lettuce, and basil. What you do afterwards is on you." It is in that industry. That's really, after just the natural part of it, yes. But really, our focus is education, consumers growing. We'll let them handle that part of it. But we really want to make sure we give accessibility to our kids. And there's always, like I mentioned, Janie, our education director. Last year, her second graders brought it home. A second grade young girl said, "Can I give you a hug?" And she said, "You taught me, you saved my life. You taught me how to grow my own food." And then one of her other second graders, a young man, said, "If you're hungry and you need food, get yourself some seeds and you can grow your own." And so,
That's awesome.
To me, that's what we do. People can grow marijuana or whatever they want to grow with our systems, but we know if we give the kids the opportunity to grow, and the electronics, the technology part of it is the intriguing part for the kids, right? Because these are kids that grew up on computers and gaming and all the rest of it, so they really get it. I mean, these kids those kids probably could explain hydroponics better than I did to you, but it's that's kind of what we do. And like Lisa, you talk about with family, I have the best sisters in the world, Renee and Stacy, and they've been supportive of me and that family piece of it. But at the end of the day, you really have to do what you love. And as women, we really have to, we can be givers, but don't be giving that you end up empty. And that's the biggest part that I see with us as women. We're such givers, we're such caretakers, and then we sit here empty, and we can't do that anymore. We are the solution. I do believe we are the solution. And I love what you both are doing to open that door for women to say, I can do something different. And there's nothing wrong with right? And what's my advisor that told, she said, "You give away too much of your knowledge." And she was the first person that really said, "Why are you doing that? You need to monetize your knowledge." And so if I could leave anything with anybody, it's that it's fine to be a caretaker. It's fine to take care of people. But until you take care of yourself, you will not be the best at what you do.
Nurture yourself first.
And there's not, some women think that that's selfishness, and it's not. It's not because if your center core is not strong and correct, and that love for yourself, you can't love other people. You can't be effective in what you're doing because you have a hole, and until your hole is filled, with whatever makes you happy, and there's nothing wrong with that, then you can become productive. You're a better person. I look at Korie now and I read your story, Korie, and I see you beaming, and I remember those days, and I see that you found yourself, and it's like, that's the result. That's the result right there. And then look at all the things that you've done and all the lives that you've touched, Korie, by your own change, probably in your own family, your friends, your circle, and all the rest of it, because you're filled now. And if we can do that as a whole, as women, and understand our role to be healthy and wealthy in ourselves, and that's not monetary, that's not a monetary thing, but we can do a lot, in our families, in our communities, and in our world. It is
the rite of passage. It is our birthright to do that. And thank you for being one of the women that's leading the way. And more women need to come to the table and be prepared to do so. We stand on the shoulders of the women that came before us, and now we need to pass the baton. So keep on teaching and educating and raising awareness. And thank you so much for being with us tonight. It was really, truly a pleasure. Thank you, Korie, for bringing on fabulous guests. Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, Shelley, I echo everything Lisa said, and your brilliance just shined through tonight. Thank you for bringing such rich wisdom to our community. And thank you for enriching Lisa and I, because you're really a beautiful woman and on such an amazing mission. And not just all of the work that you're doing, but the work that you're doing on yourself to leave a legacy and a trail of things. And I will promise I will text when we hang up so the two of you ladies can connect and talk about all your ancient beliefs and history.
I'm dying to find out if what rabbit holes the two of us have gone down. I love to. I think there's probably a lot of it. I'm intuitively feeling it.
Yeah, I am too. So Shelley, thank you so much. We love you. And please help yourself onto the writing of the book. Please respond to the women who have kindly left messages tonight, who adore you already and are supporting you. And if you want to leave some information about how we can support your non-for-profit and some of the charity things that you're doing, we have over 10,000 women in our community who are incredibly charitable in the work that they do. So feel free to post in there and keep us posted on the things that you're doing and how we can help.
That's wonderful, Korie. I really appreciate both you and Lisa for this time, and I'll continue following you, what you're doing. And again, I'm so proud of you, Korie, and just seeing all that you're doing and all you're giving. So thank you, both of you, for your time.
Thank you.
Much love. Have a beautiful evening, all.
Bye, Shelley. Good night. Bye, Lisa. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you.